Atletico Madrid are watching this right now, somewhere in a film room in Madrid. Simeone's staff are pulling up the footage. They're watching Havertz go down. They're watching Eze limp off. And I promise you, they are not sad about it. That's where we are. Arsenal just beat Newcastle United, 1-0, back to the top of the Premier League. And it should feel brilliant. It genuinely should. But I can't shake this feeling. And I think if you're an Arsenal fan watching this, you can't either. Because the question isn't what happened today. The question is, what happens Wednesday, away, at the Metropolitano, in a Champions League semi-final second leg? And right now, Arteta doesn't know if his two best attacking players will even be on the plane. Let that sit for a second. Welcome back, I'm Amelia. If you're new here, we talk Arsenal. Seriously, no fluff. If that's your thing, subscribe. It means a lot. And before we go any further, drop a comment right now. I want to know one thing. Are you worried? Or do you trust this squad? Because I genuinely don't know how I feel. And I want to see where you're at before I start breaking this down. Right, let's get into it. So here's what actually happened today. And I'm not going to just retell you the game. You watched it. What I want to do is tell you what I think it means. Eze scored in the 9th minute. Brilliant goal. Classic Eze. Sharp, precise. Exactly the kind of moment you bring a player like that in for. And for a moment, it felt like Arsenal were going to be comfortable, like they were going to control this. But then, Havertz, 35 minutes, he goes down. And the way he went down, it wasn't a collision, it wasn't a challenge, it was his own body. That's the thing that worried me most. A groin injury that comes from your own movement is different from taking a knock. Those are the ones that linger. Arteta brought Gyökeres on, and look, I'll talk about Gyökeres properly in a minute, but in that moment, watching it happen, I just thought, of all the weeks for this to happen, of all the games, this one. And then second half, Eze. He goes down, ankle, and you could see it. He was grabbing it. He wasn't dramatic about it. Eze isn't that kind of player. He got up, he tried to continue, and then he didn't. Martinelli came on, and Arsenal just held on. 1-0, job done. But at what cost? Now, Arteta said muscular niggles. He said, we don't think it's too much. And Eze himself said he's fine, said it was precaution. And part of me wants to believe that. I genuinely do. But here's the thing about muscular niggles. That phrase has covered everything from a 2-day recovery to a 6-week absence in football. It tells you almost nothing. And when the manager says, hopefully they're going to be okay, that word, hopefully, is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Eze's update was more reassuring, honestly. He seemed fine post-match, relaxed, said it himself, precaution. And I think if it was serious, he wouldn't be speaking to cameras with that kind of energy. That's the read I get. Havertz is a different conversation. He didn't speak post-match. We didn't get a Havertz interview. And that groin, he's had a season ravaged by injuries already. 9 Premier League appearances, 9. This is a player who, when he's fit, is one of the best number 9s in this league. His movement, his hold-up play, the way he links the midfield to the attack. Arsenal genuinely look different with him. But he has not been able to stay healthy. And now, another one. And the timing is just brutal. So let's say, for the sake of this, Eze is probably okay, or close enough. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, based on what he said. Havertz? I'm less certain. And that uncertainty, that's what's making me uneasy. Because here's where I want to spend some time. I want to talk about what Arsenal actually lose tactically if Havertz misses Wednesday. Not just a player is out. I want to be specific, because I think this is being slightly underplayed in the initial reaction. Arteta has built a system, especially in the latter part of this season, that requires a very particular type of number 9. He needs someone who can press from the front, who can hold the ball up and bring others into play, who can occupy 2 or 3 defenders and give Odegaard, Saka, Rice, all of them, space to operate. Havertz does all of that. He's not the most prolific striker, his goal record isn't spectacular, but his functional role in that system is massive. Think about the games where Arsenal have looked most fluent this season. Havertz has been involved in almost all of them. Not because he's scoring every week, but because the team moves better when he's there. The press has a point. The shape has a reference. Remove him and you're not just losing a striker, you're losing the anchor of the whole attacking structure. And against Atletico Madrid, of all teams, that matters even more. Let me tell you about Atletico under Simeone, and I know you know this, but I want you to really think about it in the context of Wednesday. Atletico do not press you. They do not chase the game. They sit in a compact mid-low block and they wait. They invite you to play in front of them, and if you don't have the movement, if you don't have the cleverness to unlock that block, you end up hitting long balls into nothing and going home frustrated. Arsenal's best chance against Atletico in Madrid away in a semi-final is to press them, to make them uncomfortable in possession, to force errors high up the pitch, to make it a high-intensity, fast, chaotic game, because that is not what Atletico want. That is not their game. And the reason Arsenal can do that, the reason it's even possible, is because Havertz leads the press from the front. Without him, what does that look like? Does Gyökeres press like that? He can, in theory. He's a brilliant, intense player. But he needs to be settled in a system. He needs match sharpness. He needs to understand the triggers, when to go, when to hold, when to shift. That's not something you develop in training. That comes from playing. And Gyökeres has had, 60 minutes of Arsenal football? Maybe a bit more across the games he's come on? I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm saying it's a risk, a real one, and Arteta knows it. Now here's a thought that I think is going to be unpopular, and I'm going to say it anyway. Should Arsenal have managed both Havertz and Eze more carefully this week? There, I said it. The Atletico semi-final second leg is the biggest game of Arsenal's season, potentially the biggest game in this club's recent history. A Champions League final is on the line, and Arteta chose to play both Havertz and Eze, two attacking players who have had injury issues, at full intensity against Newcastle, 4 days before that game. Now, I understand the Premier League matters. I understand dropping points in the title race has consequences. I really do. And Arsenal needed to win today to get back to the top. I get it. But at what point does the Champions League take priority? At what point do you say, right, Eze is crucial for Madrid. Let's not risk him in the last 20 minutes of a 1-0 lead. Maybe Arteta had no choice. Maybe Eze insisted he was fine. Maybe the plan was always to bring him off, and the ankle was just unfortunate timing. I don't know. I wasn't in that dressing room. But if Havertz misses Wednesday because of what happened today, we're going to be asking these questions loudly. Right, let's talk about the options, because this is where it gets genuinely interesting. Arteta has decisions to make, and none of them are clean. Option 1, Gyökeres starts. He's the headline name. He's the player every Arsenal fan has been excited about since the moment we signed him. Incredible at Sporting, prolific, physical, a genuine goal scorer. And if he clicks, if it all comes together in that one game, it could be the moment that defines Arsenal's season. But I want you to think about this properly. Starting a Champions League semi-final second leg, away from home, in an atmosphere like the Metropolitano, that is one of the most intense environments in football. For a player in his first weeks at a new club, with limited minutes, no established chemistry with the teammates around him, that is a lot to ask. It might work. It might be the making of him at this club, but the margin for error is very small. Option 2, you go with Martinelli through the middle. He's done it before. He has the pace, the energy, the pressing instinct. But his best football comes from the left. He's not a natural 9. And in a game where the movement of the striker is so critical, where we need someone to occupy those Atletico centre-backs intelligently, I'm not sure Martinelli is the answer in that role. It might end up being disruptive rather than clever. Option 3, and this is the one that I think fans don't want to hear, you go ultra-defensive. You accept that the attack is compromised. You pack the midfield. You make it compact. You make it hard to beat. You try to win 1-0, or you protect whatever lead you have from the first leg. You out Atletico. Is that the right call? I honestly don't know. It goes against everything this Arsenal team has been about this season. It would feel like a betrayal of the way they've played. But football isn't always about playing the right way. Sometimes it's about winning in the right way. What would you do? Genuinely, tell me in the comments. I want to know. Let me come back to Eze for a moment, because even if he is okay, even if it's just precaution like he said, this situation tells us something important about where Arsenal are right now. This squad is thin in attack. We've seen it all season. When Havertz is injured, there are questions. When Saka has been off form, there are questions. When Eze isn't available, there are questions. This is not a squad with abundance in the final third. It's a squad with quality, real quality. But when that quality gets stretched, you feel it. And that is a summer conversation as much as a Wednesday conversation. Because if Arsenal do progress, if they get to a Champions League final, they are going to face this issue again. You cannot go into a final or even a deep European run without more depth in attacking areas. That's just the reality. But that's for later. Right now, Wednesday. I want to end with something that I think gets overlooked in all of this. And it's about Havertz as a person, not as a tactical asset, not as a squad piece, as a footballer who has had an incredibly difficult season, 9 Premier League appearances. Think about what that means. That is a player who all season has been fighting, recovering, working, getting back. And every time he's got back, something else happens. And still, when he plays, he contributes. When he played against Newcastle today, before the injury, he was involved. He was pressing. He was linking. He was doing exactly what Arteta needs from him. And now, another setback, another wait, another scan, another round of, we'll see how he recovers. I don't know if Havertz is mentally okay. I hope he is. I hope he has the support around him to deal with this. Because that kind of repeated physical setback, it wears on you. It has to. And I hope Arsenal as a club are looking after him properly, not just physically, everything. So where does this leave us? Arsenal are top of the Premier League. That's real. That matters. They beat a good Newcastle side, defended brilliantly when they had to, and got 3 points. That could define where this title goes. But Wednesday is coming. Madrid is coming. And right now, the 2 players who matter most to how Arsenal attack in that game are both uncertain. Eze, probably fine. That's my read. His words, his energy post-match. I think he plays Wednesday. Havertz, I'm worried. The groin, the history, the fact that he didn't speak publicly after the game. I think there's real uncertainty there. And if he's out, Arsenal go to the Metropolitano without a recognized striker who understands this system. That is a genuine problem. My honest opinion, Arsenal can still get a result on Wednesday without Havertz. This team has shown resilience all season. They have Rice in midfield, they have Saka, they have Odegaard when he's fit and engaged. They can find a way, but it gets harder, noticeably harder. And Simeone will know that, and Atletico will set up accordingly. The Premier League title race is alive. The Champions League is within reach, and right now, Arteta has a nervous 48 hours ahead of him, waiting for scan results that could shape the entire conclusion to this season. Here's my final question for you, and I want you to think about this properly before you answer. If Havertz is ruled out, do you back Arsenal to go to Madrid and get the result they need? Yes or no? No middle ground. I want to see where this fan base actually is right now, because honestly, I'm 50-50 on it. And I'm not sure I've ever been this uncertain about an Arsenal game. Comment below. I'll be reading every single one. If you found this useful, subscribe. There's more coming this week as we build up to Wednesday. And if you want to argue with me, come find me in the comments. That's what we're here for. See you there.